It's Blasted Ashashi. It's Super Bowl Sunday. So we do appreciate people who are showing up, watching us live here. I know we missed the stuff like the Masked Singer and stuff like that that's supposed to be on after the Super Bowl. I don't know if you watched that. But Joe, to check the score right before we went live, looked like Kansas City's up now. Last time I knew they were down by 3. So the team I was wanting to win, they're winning. So this is the first time catching the show. What we do is we pick up the books on New Comic Book Wednesday. We give them a read. We talk about them here. We blast the books we hate. We stash the ones we love. But before we get into the books, let's take a look at some other stuff that we do. We do a book of the month giveaway like this one here. I think it's the Marauders #3 Virgin variant, the Shannon Mare, which I have not picked a book out yet for December. I gotta get that picked. And you can also go over to our Patreon, go pick up a cool shirt, show your love to the Blasted Stash It crew. Do that one. Do like the Blasted Stash It technical difficulties or the Thunderlust. I think I might buy that for myself and wear it to the con up at Emerald City. By the way, we're going to Emerald City Comic Con. We're just trying to shore up our plans. That's why we're running a little bit late tonight. Trying to look at some Airbnbs up there, trying to get that figured out. So if you are going to Emerald City Comic Con, let us know. Joe's got a spotlight, seeing if we are under the influence.
Sorry, I've been drinking.
If you can't support us through Patreon or through the t-shirts, definitely a thumbs up, a share, and a like is most appreciated. But let's go ahead and jump into the books this week. I forgot to get your books of what you read, but we're just going to wing it tonight.
Winging it.
You want to give us your first, or talk about chat and give us your first book?
Let's hit up the chat real quick. We got our most faithful follower of all time, Double Ass Comic Book. He can't wait for the dramatic duel of Huey and Joey while watching the Super Bowl. It's gridiron, baby. It's awesome. And he also wants to know what's a B&B. It's break-in and battery. That's what it means.
Did I not say air in front of that? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I said B&B.
Gotcha.
Little beer and booze.
Start us off with a book, brother.
Yeah. You want me to start us off on the book?
Well, I just realized you don't watch my show, so you know.
Oh my goodness, I was busy. I just got back off of a week-long training, spent a little time with the wife, and finally trying to read all my damn books for tonight. So let's talk about DC Annual or Detective Comics Annual. Did you read that one, Joe?
No, I don't read annuals.
You don't read annuals at all?
Very rarely.
So this is essentially a little backstory on Alfred. So that's all this is.
Yeah.
He's
dead.
He is dead. So it starts out, we find out, I mean, this kind of talked about before, Alfred was an MI6. He was an agent. And this going back to, he's like a James Bond. This is back like in the 60s or 70s. He's dispatching villains left and right. He's getting a ride from a woman flying a jet. When you find out later on that woman was one of his partners, one of his best friends when he was an MI6. She ended up showing up at Bruce at the Wanner. She shows up at the Wanner.
You were going to say Wiener.
I wasn't going to say Wiener, but at Bruce Wayne Manor, that's what I said. And kind of startles Bruce Wayne, and she says, well, Alfred told me to come here if I ever needed help or was in trouble. I could always come here. And then she gives a little more brief history about Alfred, but she convinces Batman to go to I think it's Ukraine. Yep, go to Ukraine because of some mystery. And we find out there's a little more backstory between Alfred and this woman and the third partner, the third wheel. I don't know, maybe he deflected and he was now a traitor and gave secrets from MI6 to their enemies. And so she felt really betrayed, so she went there to dispatch him to kill him. But she convinces Batman to show up to kind of help her out. I don't know why at all, other than maybe to take care of this villain here. He's kind of a badass guy there. But that's the only reason Batman really shows up, to help her out with anything of that. But he convinced her not to kill this guy, take him into custody, and then she starts giving a little more. After that's all done, they go back to the manor, and she's talking about Wayne. I got weighing on my mind tonight.
You do have some weighing on your mind tonight, buddy.
Talking about Alfred a little more. So I'm wondering if she is going to take over the role of Alfred. That's my concern. Not concerned, but that's my theory.
That's what it's so bad.
That's my concern.
You're concerned.
But so we may have a female, Alfred, maybe in the works. It was okay. It's kind of cool backstory on Alfred. The art was good. I love that big monster guy he had to fight before they actually got to that other deflected. That's the word I'm gonna look for.
Deflected?
Yeah, not deflected. Wait, he changed sides.
Defected.
Defected. Well, I don't know why I'm coming up deflected. Deflected, Wang. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me tonight.
People drink more beer. It makes you smart.
I'll just drink some coffee. The villain he had to fight was pretty badass. But other than that, it was just a little backstory on Alfred. I said maybe it's a cool introduction into this character who now maybe taking on that Alfred type role for him, more of a motherly role rather than the fatherly role.
Yeah, that's what he knows, mommy.
It was $5, or was it how much? Yeah, it was $5 for an annual. It's a pretty long story. It's decent. Do you need it? No. Is it the first appearance of this woman? It might be. I don't know. I never looked it up. So it was okay.
What's her name?
Her name. Of course, you would ask that because I did not take notes. You have pages and pages. You must have stock in paper. Her name is Agent Marigold Sinclair.
We'll look it up tomorrow.
Look it up and see if that's her first appearance. But she might be taking on that Alfred role. So looks like you got 6 people watching. If you're in the chat, if you've read this book, let us know what you thought. Was it a blast? What is attached for you? What do you think this character is going to be future for Batman? Let us know.
Definitely. Convince me that this is a good book and I'll go buy it.
That was the only DC book I read this week.
Really? I got quite a bit of DC.
So that's it for me.
Really? You didn't get Suicide Squad? Okay. I'm sorry.
No, I haven't read Suicide Squad.
So I'm going to talk about Weapon Plus. Did you get this?
I did get that, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this.
All right. This is a blast for me. This thing is so bad. What happens when you take Man-Thing and you take Swamp Thing and you try to force them together? And I'm going to emphasize the word force them together. What do you get? This manslaughter? I think that's what they're calling him. First off, the art in here, they make him look so weird. He looks like just some Rastafarian with dreadnought.
Thank you.
Right? Okay. And apparently he doesn't have problems killing people because, like, he killed his brother in this. He's basically just a mushroom in it. This is just a hard read. Like, you're reading it and you're like, really? So basically, guy gets infected with plant floor stuff that turns him into a swamp-like monster. And they keep promising him a cure, but he's got to do a bunch of work for them. And come to find out, they don't have the cure. So he kills his handler and runs off into the swamps after he kills his brother, because I don't really understand what's going on, why that had to happen. Apparently his brother got involved with something with botany, and it kind of just went out of control and is killing everything in a particular area of Washington. And it spread really fast and created like this weird thing where everybody's just dying. And I'm like, but you say that it's fungal. It's a fungus, right? So like temperatures like that. If you took 7th grade science class, the book, their science doesn't make any sense to you. It completely defies all that. So of course, it's a comic book, so we could throw this superhero thing into it, or this super extraordinary excuse out there. That's fine. What I'm having a problem with this book is just the dialogue in it is so weird. Like, I just can't imagine people actually talking like this. It doesn't make any sense. I thought they had a great concept. I like the fact that they're playing with this whole Weapon Plus thing. I like that concept, how everything's connected, right, in some way, shape, or form. But adding a new character into it made no sense. And then the sneak peek story of brute force. Jesus Christ, I thought we were past putting cybernetic stuff on animals back in the 90s. But nope, we're going to rehash that concept and we're going to throw it back out there and give everything a cheesy name and make it sound simple. Now I get it. I'm a 43-year-old man, a little old. I remember a lot of things, so maybe you're trying to attract a younger crowd. That's fine, but do you really do it on the first issue when you're introducing a new character with a serious story? Right? That I just think that was a bad decision in that area right there. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and no, nothing like Creep Show. If it was the fungus, like from the Creep Show thing there, Weapon X, that would have been cool. This just came off weird and hinky, and it just I don't think the writer cared enough to really develop this character. I think they were just writing a story and trying to get a paycheck. Cool cover though. I really like that. That like I wanted to see that thing, but that's not what you see in this book. The actual character, it's so bad. It just looks like a green dude with dreadlocks and red eyes.
And
like
a Fu Manchu.
Yeah, this would have been cool. What you got was not. So yeah, this is a blast for me. Unless they do something dramatic real quick with this, it was just a weird read.
Yeah, I was super unimpressed because, like I said, you said on that cover, there's 3 miniguns, dude. I want to see Man-Thing with 3 miniguns laying out and cutting people in half. You know, that's what I want to see. And World War IV, 5, 4. That's what they're saying. Now you said something about fungal. Now, what are you talking about? Because it's not damp enough, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, so the way fungus spreads, right?
Yeah.
So the guy's a fungus, right? That was his thing, right?
Yeah.
Did anything look fungal to you that was infected?
No, but you know much about the Olympic Peninsula up there?
Oh, yeah, I'm very familiar with the Fort Lewis area and the woods up there. I was an Army Ranger up there.
Okay, that's that because it is really
It
wet up there all the time.
But the thing that's spreading is a fungus.
Okay, I can see that.
Right?
Yeah, so there's a picture of the dude, the Fu Manchu dude right there. And one thing you left out too, he is able to control. He's able to turn human and Man-Thing. He said it's making it harder and harder to do, but he can do that. I think he's just trying to get it so he doesn't have to, can't turn into that Man-Thing anymore. But it's definitely not Ted Salas, as how you pronounce his last name, the original Man-Thing. He is referenced in here. Looks like they took some of his research, and that's what they're going from. And his brother kind of maybe expanded on that, and they end up using him as a military weapon. And that's why he killed his brother, because they didn't want him using him like they used this current character. But yeah, it was a blast. It was a total blast for me. The other Weapon Plus was Wolverine and Captain America. Is that correct? If I remember right, it happened like 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah,
that one wasn't bad. It was okay. I enjoyed that one, but this one, this is a perfect. We, as comic book readers, are the worst, right? Because we generally judge a book by its cover.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you open it up and you get this second-rate art in here, I'm just like, that just immediately just burned me right there at the beginning. And then after trying to get through that storyline, I was just like, man, so bad.
The other thing on the cover that does bother me is the American flag thing. I've talked about it before, how it's flipped. And it just really irritates me. Again, I have not had any service or any of that, no military, but I have a big thing about the American flag being portrayed correctly, and that doesn't do it for me. So that's another blast for me.
Real quick in the show, we got Double S. He says, yep, it was a blast for him as well. I picked up the issue of a bootleg Swamp Thing character. Yes, sir, you did. Weapon X jumps in. He's the one that asked the question about Creep Show story of weeds. And I was like, man, that would have been cool, but they didn't do that. They did just kind of spreading fungus thing. It was ridiculous. And Weapon X also says that he was iffy on the book to begin with.
You talked about judging a book by its cover, and that's the next book I'm going to talk about too, because I really enjoyed the cover. They had a really cool, either was a store variant or something like that I was trying to get my hands on, but I wasn't able to. I didn't notice it until it was too late. Even the main cover is kind of cool. It's by Source Point Press. I don't know if you read any Source Point Press this week. Apocalypse Girl #1.
I wanted that. It sold out on me. Was it
So
good?
look at that cover. You're thinking, oh, wait. Bikini clad, kind of, very scantily clad, 2 sawed-off double-barrel shotguns, cowboy hat. Apparently, she played football with the markings on her face. I don't know what that is for. War paint. Great cover. Inside is, you want to talk about, you don't like scratchy art, right? That's one of your things.
I don't like this. Yeah.
That art there on that book is just awful.
I've seen worse, but yeah, I can see what you're saying. Compared, that's.
Yeah. So this main story is there's an apocalypse, of course. That's why it's called Apocalypse Girl. We really don't know what's happened yet. They talk about, this one talks about some myths at the beginning. No, that was been the maybe the Man Thing one. So it's just her and her dad. Her dad's this big muscle bound dude, kind of reminds me of Jungle off of G.I. Joe.
Nice.
Kind of like that,
You ever shot a machine gun on peyote? Badass.
So yeah, he's kind of he dispatches people, and this girl's talking about how she loves her daddy. Her daddy's super tough, and nothing could kill him. Well, he ends up getting killed. So she has to come out of hiding to go. I think it was to go north or whatever it was. That's what he told her if anything ever happened to her. So she's traveling north. She's portrayed as this weak individual at the beginning of the book with no really training other than her dad protecting her throughout the whole thing. And when he dies, all of a sudden she's a badass, like instantly. She's able to wield the shotguns just right and all that crap. So that really threw me off the whole book. She does get sliced by a sword, but she ended up taking care of, how many guys were on those bikes? I think there were, no, they were on quads. There were 4 guys total on quads, and she took care of them, no problem. What the hell are you doing over there?
Nothing. Goofing off.
So this book, cover good, art inside bad, story bad. Unfortunately, I really wanted to like this book. I like a good apocalypse book, but this fell flat for me, and I'm not going to be picking up issue 2. Maybe she could play in the halftime show, for Super Bowl during that Powder Puff Bowl. I think that's what they call it. I don't even know if they do it anymore.
Oh, the powder! I remember that. That was fun.
So, unfortunately, Apocalypse Girl, Sourceman Press,
Blasting it.
Blasting that book.
Okay. Double S says he saw that book at his LCS as well. For some reason, I first mistakenly read it as the movie Apocalypse Now. That's funny. All right, I'm going to shoot over to. I got to talk about Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Issue number 2. This actually isn't as bad. So you have two teams, right? And we know the standard Suicide Squad and the way that it works. Well, they've changed things a little bit by putting a new guy in charge. Obviously, he has like Secret Squirrel type plans out there. He's bringing in this other team and integrating it. Group dynamics are at play here. Who's in charge? Who's not at charge? So this issue kind of justified the existence of the secondary team, right? That's kind of now integrated with us and the way they think and do things. So we're finding out about individuals and things they don't like. Like there's one guy that has wings and he hates flying in an airplane. Like he feels claustrophobic, he feels trapped, like it bothers him. We have a young lady who's in charge, who's the brute strong one. They have somebody they call Wink who can teleport like Nightcrawler kind of sort of. So they go on their first mission together, and we find out that this new team doesn't really like somebody being in charge of them. They were kind of like anti-establishment type characters in the first issue, and I found that to be annoying, but they were interesting enough for me to get the second issue, so I went ahead. They're still anti-establishment type heroes, but working with Deadshot, who kind of seemed like an old fogey in this one, and Harley Quinn, who didn't really play a role in it. what I did like in this is they keep addressing this kind of group animosity between Shark and Finn. Finn's on the other team. Well, Shark ate Finn's brother.
Okay.
Does that make sense so far? You follow? We'll call him, I forgot his name. We'll call him Tailfin. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, so he eats him. So now Shark and this Finn character have a problem with each other, right? So immediately we find out that Finn's not the typical water guy. He can actually kind of fight and do things. Although he is lonely now because him and his brother never spoke verbally, they were always in each other's minds. So we kind of see him in isolation. But then we find out that Shark has the same ability. Apparently, all fish people have this ability, right? This is how they communicate. I found that to be interesting, but also Finn also punched Shark so hard that knocked out one of his teeth. Now he wears it as a necklace. So Shark's like, okay, I ate your brother. You took one of my teeth. Are we even now? And he's like, yeah, no, not really, Slick. Like, I still got beef with you. So that was pretty cool. So they have to rescue this kind of president who was supposed to be in power, right? So the U.S. government paid for this guy to be president of a country. Apparently, the current president didn't really like that concept, so he just took over and said, nah. So they got to go in and get the guy that they paid for. They sent a Suicide Squad in there, but this kind of anti-establishment team are kind of a step ahead. They finally get down into a sewer where they kind of segregate where they can't be heard so they can talk, so the voice things don't work. And there's a plan afoot. They left it off on a good cliffhanger. I really like this until this gets stupid and weird. Right now, it's a stash for me. I don't mind opinions that I don't share. I'm okay with that area as long as it plays out into something interesting, because that's the point of a comic book. So right now, I'm calling this a stash, but I still reserve the right to blast it any time that I want.
That is fair. Okay. I'm going to start here with Ravencroft, #1. Did you pick up that one?
Yes, of course I did.
So, I'm going to make a little note.
Insane asylums, patients running the place. Yeah, I picked that up.
So, yeah, this was good. I think it falls about the same as his other tie-ins to it. The Sabretooth, Captain America and Dracula, and those. So it tied in really well, and I thought it kind of fit the whole thing. The only thing that I saw, so Misty Knight isn't in. Now she's talking about kind of going in there and making sure, she's kind of like, something's not right. I want to go in there and make sure. And she's kind of being hired by somebody else to kind of make sure too. So let me find a page where she talks about all the stuff that she's done. My name is Misty Knight. I've been a police officer, a daughter of a dragon, and a hero for hire. She doesn't play a very good psychiatrist or counselor for that.
Well, that's because she's a police officer and she has no mental health experience, but somehow or another she works in there.
So I just saw her rolling her eyes the entire time. She's in that group setting, the Grizzly's talking, and she's like, oh, this is good, Grizzly. I mean, not good that you get yourself clobbered by someone who technically gets stomped by a rolled newspaper. This is like totally undermining like he's like already has feelings about being beat by Ant-Man. He already has his like I feel horrible about myself. I let Ant-Man beat me. And then she's like just totally rubbing that in, and then the next page, the one guy, the freak guy, is talking about his spleen winding up in New Jersey. And she's like, okay, freak, we get the picture. Very disturbing. TMI. Like, dude, you were not a very good counselor.
No.
Where did you get your certificate? Did you get it online? That's what I was
parking lot of a community college. It's Ralphie.
So it amazed me. I mean, these are comic books, I know, but it amazes me. You look at real world experiences, like, dude, there's no way that somebody's getting plugged in that. But if you look, okay, if I want to get political, look at Biden's son. He got hired. He got that job without any experience. So I guess this girl could do the same thing.
People get hired all the time for things they're not called. It's called thinking outside the box.
Oh, is that what it is?
Wah, wah, wah.
So, yeah, we're finding more and more about this Ravencroft and what they're trying to do. And, of course, at the very, very end of it, too, of course, Misty Knight knocks out, was it
Hyde?
Huh? Hyde's, yeah, Hyde's tooth. I knew it was Hyde. So she's a badass. We know that. Where there are these new beasts that are coming up from the sewer, from
The
that
unwanted, yes.
being in the basement. Their next plan, they're not sure yet. But we find out who the board members are, who the people who help running this, and that's kind of a cool reveal. Wondering what's going on. Okay, spoilers alert if you haven't read it. So Kingpin's main board members is it the staff, heads of staff. That's what he calls them.
We'll call them board members for now until we actually see them work. But yeah.
We got Taskmaster, we got the Scorpion, we got Moonstone, we got Hobgoblin. Those are his four main people. So
the staff.
that's kind of a cool reveal, kind of seeing but they're all reformed, right? So
sure,
that should be fine. This is it's a snatch for me, even though the parts with the psychiatry or whatever like that, I can overlook that. I just thought it was a funny little aspect. I can see her going, "Oh God, yeah, you're a big baddie. You got beat by Ant-Man. Let me rub it in a little bit more." And that's what it was. Okay, dude, we don't want to hear what happened to you. Although we're here in a group setting, we'll want to tell your feelings, but I don't want to hear from you.
I don't want to hear your feelings.
So it's a stash. So it was good.
Yeah, I love this. This is a good example of pseudo psychiatry, armchair psychiatry at its best. But the great thing about it is you've heard the statement, right? What happens when the patients started running the asylum? I think we're going to see that. Somebody's playing with that verbiage, and I really like that. Because, I mean, seriously, Scorpion, like, he's just like, right? Moonstone has had various delusional and fallacies in thought. And then you also have Hobgoblin, who's just absolutely delusional to begin with. And then you have Taskmaster, who has associative disorders. So it's really cool to see these characters because they all have a very unique mental issue to begin with that institutions are supposed to be dealing with as people deal with them. So that's fun. I want to see where the writer takes this, and just remember all of it's pseudo, like it's not real, right? It's just armchairing it, right? Being the strong arm in a mental ward is not your strong suit, right? Because the people there, like normal people, have limits. These people don't. Okay, so that's interesting. But then again, to sit there and say that you can't have villains that are insane running it would be wrong to begin with, because Jay Jamison's son, he ran the place forever. He was a villain as well. So there is some play into people that rehabilitate themselves moving in to help other people rehabilitate themselves, but you have to have some sort of baseline or normal person there. I guess that's Misty Knight's role in all this. I don't know. And I don't care. The great story that I really like here is that this unwanted thing wasn't something that just happened that we're forgetting about. We obviously see them seeping out. They're gathering information, and there's a leader there, which means first appearance to some degree, right? So I'm really excited about that, to see what this is. I don't know if it's going to be that guy that was in the Dracula Captain America that wanted to kill himself. Did he kill himself? Is it this guy?
You didn't really show.
Yeah, the Lieutenant Bud guy. I hope we're playing off of some of that. That would be fun. So yeah, I just hope they do some coolness with this and they have fun with this, and they don't try to bring awareness to mental health, because everybody already knows that mental health is out there. Like, we already know. So we don't need a lesson in it. Let's have some fun with it, and let's do some really just crazy stuff right up off the bat. I'm on board. It's a stash for me too.
Yeah, you're talking about bringing awareness and doing stuff like that. It's like stuff we don't necessarily need in comics. Like tonight for the Super Bowl, watching the commercials, there were a few really political. I hate political commercials regardless if I believe in them or support them or not. It's like, I don't want to see political commercials when I'm watching the Super Bowl. I want to watch a football game. I don't want to watch funny commercials. I don't need politics crammed in there right now. I see politics everywhere else. Give me 3 hours without politics,
please.
Okay. So I brought up Ravencroft. What do you got for me, Joe?
I know you got this. I know you picked up Thor.
I did pick up Thor, yes.
I was going to say, if you didn't pick up Thor. Now, I'm not a huge Thor fan. Like, I should say that. All right, I should preface it all with that. I have purposely stayed away from Thor when he became king, Thor when he became a god. It's just Shakespearean writing drives me crazy when it comes out of a Viking's mouth because it's not supposed to be there, right? It's not my thing. It's the wrong dialogue. But whatever. I've gotten past my own fallacies of this, and I've been picking this up and reading it. And man, I am so happy that I did. This is definitely a stash for me. I love this story. We see, and again, I love it when heroes go through their hero's arc. We find out that Thor doesn't want to see Galactus eat planets. So, well, first off, Galactus has to get better because of the impending doom. There's an impending doom coming. Galactus needs to get better. Thor's the herald for him now, so he goes out and tries to find planets that aren't inhabited with beings. Well, unfortunately, the first planet that they come to, he has to go ahead and eat it because he's got to get better, right? So now you're stuck with, you need something to happen, but the bad thing has to happen too, which is kill an entire civilization of people. That's rough. What's going on, Mastodon? Thanks for swinging by. So that's a rough decision to be made. Decision gets made. Galactus is going to go ahead and do it. Thor's going to go ahead and fight him. So think of it this way: being a herald's basically just being the announcer. you announce things. That's what heralds do. So they fight real quick, and we find out that Thor's no joke when it comes to being a herald. Like, he's kind of on board with it. He's still powerful. He's still strong. And then he's got the cosmic stuff on top of it. He kind of jacks up Thor a little bit during this whole thing, but can't get him to stop eating, right? The feeding has to happen. So Thor quickly brings the bridge over, the Bifrost over, moves everybody over to, I don't know if it was Asgard. I'm thinking it was one of the other worlds because the Tree of Life was there, and it's slowly dying. We don't know why. So all these people come over there. They're trying to venture, but these people are very primitive to some degree. Whatever. So Galactus starts eating this planet up, right? He's having a good time sucking down on it. All of a sudden, he takes a couple of gun blasts, huge cannon blast, I should say, to like his face and body. And who shows up? Beta Ray Bill. Now, I've always thought Beta Ray Bill was kind of a cheesy character. I was like, really? Horse face Thor? I don't know how I feel about that. But this was pretty cool because he has a problem with everything that's going down with this. My hope is in issue 3, we find out that he has some sort of connection with the people on this planet, because that would make more sense than just randomly saving some primitive Bigfoot characters, is the best way I can put it. I don't know, but he's kind of hoping that when he shows up to stop Galactus, that old boy doesn't get in his way. Our boy Thor. Let them have another battle. I'm kind of okay with that, because what has Thor gone through? Seriously, king powers, cosmic powers, god powers. Like, he's so overpowered right now, it can almost be ridiculous. But we're still seeing a character go through the arc. He can still fail. He can still be strong. He still has to make very hard moral decisions in this, and I like that in my reading. This is definitely Cates, man, he's hitting it out of the park. Before you get the review, we got Mastodon. He swung in. Always good to see you, brother. Missed our night at the casino. That was a good time in Baltimore. Double S says, hey, Joey, like Robert Downey Jr. in the first Avengers movie, when he talks like Thor and says, thus, mother, no, you wear her drapes. Yes, that was funny. And Take the Time Collectibles just swung in. He says, good evening, all. What's happening, my man? Thanks for swinging in. We're talking about Thor 2. And I laid out my time to the council of raccoon stranglers.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, this was good because I think you touched on it, where we have this hero. He doesn't want to do this, but he knows that if he doesn't do this, the bigger thing's going to come in and destroy them all. So, okay, what do we sacrifice here? How far do I go? How far do I push this? How much do I let him consume in order to be healthy, to be able to protect you from here? Who do I let die? Who do I let live? That's all those conflicting things. It's all for the greater good. He does talk about, so for reasons Thor does not know yet, Mjolnir has grown heavier by the day since he ascended from the golden throne of Asgard.
Yeah.
So is he like getting less worthy? Is that what they're trying to imply there? As in, like, because of his duties being the herald of Galactus, is he losing some of his essentially worthiness? We don't know. I mean, he picks up the Mjolnir and he to thrash and freaking Galactus, ripping a couple fingers off through the knee.
That's interesting. Let's talk about that for a second. So, and I think people can relate to this because there's an interesting part to this. So, let's say you have a job. Right? Most people have a job, and as you move up through the ranks in a job and you take a position, the people you used to hang out with, do they respect you for taking those positions, or do they ultimately like, oh, he's one of them now? I think Mjolnir kind of sees that he has to make these hard decisions, and these decisions aren't good. They're not the decisions that a king of Asgard would do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting heavier and heavier. We also saw this in the Avengers, where he was slowly transforming into a brood. Is that what they're called? The the lizard looking one. He changes. We'll
Yeah.
just leave it there. And
Yeah.
he gets his hammer started getting heavy there, but he had to keep fighting that instinct to be worthy. So we understand that worthy isn't something you're born into. It's something that you have to constantly be and you work at and struggle with. And I really like that concept. And using a hammer, I think, is a good concept. And I just totally took your time on that. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Another thing too, they talk about, like you said, they're a primitive race. They say they know no gods at all, and here Galactus shows up, and they're thinking, "Oh my God, here's a god," and Thor knows that he's there to consume the planet and consume them. So he's trying to protect them to some degree, and they end up attacking him because they don't understand what's going on until he kind of saves them and pulls them off, I guess, to Asgard. Now, Key Collector Comics said there was a lot of references to DC Comics in this book. I did not see any.
I saw a couple.
What were they?
They're super weak. They're weak. One, the people themselves are the name that they were called. I didn't take a note on it. I just noticed it. Their name is referenced to a DC character as well. Also, where there was one scene where Thor's flying, it looks suspiciously like Superman flying.
Oh, really?
And there was a few other things in there that were just kind of poking fun at various DC IPs. That's all.
It says they are in Asgard. But just to cut the time on this guy, so this was actually awesome. I love this book. Give me more of this. This is definitely a stash. If I'm looking at my other books, this is probably my stash of the week for me. It was just flat out awesome. And I do kind of curious to see how Horseface is going to fit into here. Beta Ray Bill. So yeah, Thor's stash. Okay, let's move on. Shoot, we're already at 7 hours or 45 minutes almost. Jeez,
I got 37, man. What kind of clock do you have?
It's what?
I got 37. What kind of clock do you have?
I don't know. My
We
computer
started late. We promised these people an hour.
Oh, okay. I'll say we've been live for 37 minutes. Okay, that's right. We were late. I want to talk about another indie book. Another Source Point Press book out this week. Did you pick up Paradox?
No.
So this whole book is this way. I mean, that's how you read it. So the whole story is read it that way.
Oh.
This is a confusing ass story, and it's a little what was that when a Oedipus complex, a little bit of Oedipus complex stuff.
Ooh.
Because let me read this page, and this will sum up the whole story of what you have to know here. Where is it?
Well, first tell people what an Oedipus define your term.
The Oedipus complex?
Yeah.
Essentially, you love your mother, or you want to have relations with your mother.
Right.
The whole story basically is the kid Oedipus complex. If you go back and look at that, he finds out that his prophecy is going to kill his father and marry his mother, so he ends up leaving and kind of adopted by somebody else, and not knowing who his mother and father were, then ended up killing his real father and marrying his real mother. So yeah. That's the Oedipus complex. Just so you know, just so that you knew I knew what it was.
No. I've been trying to avoid using terms because it was put in my inbox one day. I've been asked to define my terms a little bit better, so
Oh, gotcha.
That's a fair thing to say because you have common things that people say. Some people may not know. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to find this page here. So essentially, what this story is, they're stuck in this continuous loop. There's an older self and his younger self. So he's at a certain time every single year. Say the kid turns 20, he sends it back in time to meet his own mother, to impregnate her, to give birth to him, to raise his younger self again. They're just constantly in this freaking loop, and he's trying to break that loop. He's thinking he can finally figure it out, but there's at the end of the book, I think it's just a one shot. At the end of the book, he can't figure it out. It's stuck in this loop, regardless of what it is. So, I mean, it's not completely Oedipus complex, but he goes back in time to have sex with his mom, sex with a woman to give birth to him. It's it's fucking weird. There were a few panels here. Yeah, maybe this is what it is. Think of it as a spiral. You send your son back in time to create himself. He raises himself and then sends him back in time to create another self as he's raised by his father self and then sent back in time to create another self, and so on and so forth. Infinite spiral.
So he's his grandfather, dad, and son all wrapped up into one person.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what it is, yeah. But it was just the art in here was it was I mean, like I said, I'm not going to complain about anybody's art because anybody can draw better than I can for sure. It's just not great art when I think of comics. But Source Point Press is a pretty small publisher. But yeah, this was just an overly confusing. It just back and forth, back this loop. So it's a blast for me.
It sounds like somebody took a Psych 101 class and wanted to talk about it.
Maybe.
All right. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to go ahead and let's see. I've stashed and blasted a book, so I can do whatever I want now. Okay.
You can do whatever you want.
I'm going to go ahead and blast this one. I wish you would have watched my show this week.
I'm sorry, Joe. I was.
Did you pick up Avengers by any chance?
I haven't, but I have not read it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go ahead and blast this for you. Okay. So this is part 2 of Who's the Star Band. If you remember, our heroes were left off trying to defend a pregnant woman trying to give birth who was infected with the Star Band. I say it this way with emphasis because Starband doesn't work that way, but whatever. Hey, we're going to go ahead and roll with this. Okay. So they obviously can't save the woman. The Heralds of Galactus are there to kill the woman because now all of a sudden in continuity, the Starband is like the greatest thing you could ever have. Okay, fine, whatever. Mind you, if we go back to the 1 million BC episode with the first Avengers and that whole comic book lore there, which we're coming back to in a few days, Starband is this hulking monster. It was basically Adam and Steve in the Garden of Eden, and yeah, everybody remembers that issue. It was kind of weird. It got weird really quick. So yeah, now it's just an angry gay dude back 100 million years ago. Whatever, man. This doesn't make it any better. This thing is complete and nothing more than virtue signaling that somebody understands the plight of everybody else out there. We start the story off, get some backstory about this particular pregnant female, about how she was an Earth immigrant worker for other aliens just trying to get by and make $1. Okay, I'll go with that. For some reason, Black Widow understands the plight of women and their struggle now. That's something, because I think she actually said it here. I know what it's like to be a woman of power and nobody taking you seriously. And it was like, seriously, Black Widow? Like, that's the only female Marvel character anybody really respects at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
I said it. Sorry. And then we find out that the Starband is now the baby, which is a little tiny baby girl. And now in Marvel, she, the baby, is the most powerful thing in Marvel continuity right now, according to this comic book right here that I hold in my hand. And Captain America helped deliver it. Like, that was his whole role in the comic book. This is stupid. Like, I'm sorry. When you tried to take it, look, believe what you want to believe, do what you want to do. I'm totally cool with all that, right? My problem is that when you try to fit three various topics that you're socially aware on, and you try to cram them into one consistent story that's halfway interesting, it fails. And the reason why it fails is because you come off preachy. Look, if you have one thing that you want to believe in, fine, definitely pick one per comic book. You have 24 pages to tell a story in here, not preach to the people and make a point, because that's all the thing is a point. I'm not knocking the writer for it. They've done okay thus far. I don't know. Maybe they were just having a bad day when they wrote this issue, or maybe that was the whole point. I don't know at this point because this was weak. And also, all of a sudden, everybody wanted to kill the woman, right? Like super easy, right? Then the Heralds of Galactus are standing around the baby, and they're like, okay, we don't want to kill the baby all of a sudden. And I'm like, that's a super easy job. Like, you can just fling the damn thing into the sun. Like, what, 3 pounds? No, all of a sudden they want to gift it. Now, I want you to think about this. 3 Heralds of Galactus are bringing a gift to a newborn baby child. I'll wait.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The light bulb goes on.
Three wise men?
Right. And what do they give the baby? Hope, time, and life, which are emblematical to gold, myrrh, and incense. That's kind of what they represent. So it was like, oh, you really tried that. You really tried that. Like, seriously? I don't know. If it was a big deal because it was a person, then it's even worse deal if it's a child that can be manipulated. Fling the thing into the sun and be done with it. Like, seriously. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but it's a comic book. Let's have some fun. Instead, we're going to watch Steve Rogers become a mommy daddy, or the Avengers try to 3-minute a baby episode comic book. I don't know what's going on with this. It doesn't even make sense that it should be even at this part right now. But here we go. We're going to go down this train and wait for it to go off the rails. So, yeah, it's a blast for me. It's a shame, though. I've been liking the story up to this point. I thought they would do something cool, and they let me down.
Did you read X-Men number 6 this week?
Of course I read X-Men number 6 this week. Were you just as confused as I was?
I'm sorry, number 5.
Yeah.
I might have missed an issue. I don't know.
I don't think I did either. Like, just randomly, this thing just popped into the vault, right? Like, we're
okay. So you're on the same page I am with that. Good. So yeah, the vault. You got this woman. Wolverine chased this woman. She needs to go to the vault. He's asking Xavier essentially, "Hey, do you want me to slice this thing open, go in?" They're like, "Nope, hold off. Don't do that. Don't do anything crazy." There's a big sentinel kind of guarding it too. And then Xavier ends up. Xavier and Cyclops. They're talking about this vault. They're talking about the vault, how time works differently in there. You know, it's years and years and years compared to days outside the vault. Mm-hmm. So he sets a team up of Darwin, Sync, and X-23. And he's explaining why he's sending those 3 in. Each way. The Darwin, we believe your adaptive powers can make you uniquely prepared for evaluate both the temporal and environment and the children of themselves. Blah, blah, blah. I have a big problem with this right here when they said X-23, who like Wolverine. Actually, I'm Wolverine. And Wolverine's like, you tell him, kiddo. I'm like, oh, God, that just drove me freaking nuts. Until she is Wolverine, until the time they find out that she has to be in there for 1,000 years. And it's like, you know who they should send in there on this mission? Wolverine. It's like, dude. Oh,
I thought that was awesome.
I hated it. It's like, you want the recognition, you want the recognition of Wolverine until, like, wait a minute, I have to do that? I'm not Wolverine. No, don't send me. So that kind of bothered me in there. But yeah, so essentially what he's telling them is saying, hey, you're going to be in there for 1,000 years. So they end up sending them in, and they have to create this distraction to let the door be able to pass for them to get into that vault. They create the distraction. They're in, and then Cyclops is kind of having some doubt of like, what have I done, kind of thing in here. The story itself was okay. I liked it. I said, I felt like I was plopped in right in the middle of something and not know what's going on because it's kind of out of the blue for me. But overall, I think it was good. I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to work inside this vault and what it's going to do. Essentially, Xavier knows that they may die in there, but he needs them kind of out with those memories in order to regrow them, clone them, so they have those memories. You can upload those memories up so they're up to current. It's still a stash. I'll still be picking up X-Men, but there were a couple little things I didn't like in there. But other than that, it was a good book.
Yeah, like you said, I read it and I was like, I start reading it and I'm like, hold on, did I miss something? So I went back to the long box. I started flipping through and I found it. I read the last few pages. And I'm like, where did this story come from? It's not from here. So obviously it's from the tie-in, right? It's from some tie-in someplace. We know it's not Marauders because we've been reading that pretty religiously. So it's from one of those subpar C-list titles that I refuse to read because they're just horrible. So you're absolutely right. Professor X, Cyclops, the two leaders, sending this young team in there to get the business done. Why these characters are important, why this stuff. I do vaguely remember this Vault thing from right before I got out of comic books. So the Vault thing itself is not out of continuity, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. But it was never very well explained in that context either. So all in all, I don't really know what's going on. I do like seeing conflict. I thought the thing with X-23 wanting to be Wolverine until she had to, I thought that was kind of put in there as more of a funny trope type of thing more than anything. That's how I kind of looked at it. Like the writer was just having some fun. He wasn't trying to make a point. And even if he was, that's how I took it. I'm reading it. I'm perceiving it. It is my reality. That's how I looked at it. So yeah, I don't know who this character is that ran in there. I don't know why this stuff is important, and that's one of the problems when you have one of these great big stories with all the tie-ins, and you kind of make things happen. If like let's say it happened in Excalibur, right? I blew off Excalibur because it just got stupid right after issue 3, and I just got annoyed with the story, so I walked away. So if any of this stuff became important, like I'm missing that part, right? So now what you did is you're not making me buy Excalibur because you never told me it was an Excalibur. What's going to end up happening is I'm going to dump this book, right? Because I don't have a conclusive story now. You're messing up my timeline. And when it comes down to spending more money or saving money, which one do you think I'm going to do? By the way, I'm Jewish. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Just saying. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't say I like this story because, again, I do like seeing I don't know, I'm getting this more, the way they fight together and the way they work together makes more sense now than that Age of X-Men and Age of all that mess. That let's just forget all that because that shouldn't have happened. But I do like seeing X-Men teams kind of fight again. While I read this and they were doing their little fighting scenes, I was getting that whole theme song from the 90s in my head, the guitar playing. Yeah, right. I felt nostalgic towards that. That was really cool. I'm going to pick up some more of this, only because right now, if I dump this, that leaves me with one X-Men title that I'm actually reading at this point. And I do want at least 2 in there. But all in all, I like the story. I just wish it made more sense. I guess context clues will give me more input as we go through at this point. I hope so anyways.
Okay, I brought up X-Men. What do you got, Joe?
Let's see here. Did you get Something Is Killing the Kids?
No.
Or children? You didn't get that?
No, I haven't picked up anything after issue 1.
What about Immortal Hulk?
I did read Immortal Hulk, yeah.
All right, let's talk about that. All right, so this is the first Immortal Hulk book that I'm blasting, and we're up to 30. I'm blasting this one.
You didn't like one other one too, I think. Didn't you like? You didn't like the last one, I don't think either.
No, I was excited about the last one because of Titan.
Okay.
I'm a
It
huge
was one
Titan.
before that.
Yeah, the character Titan. I'm a huge. Yeah, I had his first Golden Age appearance. I have his first Silver Age appearance. I really like this monster of a character. There was one that I was on the 50-50, I was kind of on the fence with,
Mhm.
and I've already forgotten that one. But anyway, this one's a blast for me. Because it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense. Right? So we have the Minotaur. If the Minotaur's causing problems, right? Because apparently you can make money off problems. All right, fine. He releases these monsters on the cities. Hulk's got to go out and bust them up. He dives into one of them, and there's all these parasites in the thing, right? So he's fighting the parasites that are inside the bigger monster that's causing all the problems. Bust out, parasites go everywhere, right? I'm kind of tired of red harpy at this point. It's more like red herpy; it just won't go away. It's always there,
It burns.
and it just sits around and says like one-liners, and it's just annoying at this point. I don't care about Rick Jones either. That can go away. And Samson, I get that we want to make a superhero be a psychiatrist, and we can kind of play with that, but we're not playing with that concept any. We're just listening to how he's wrong all the time. So, like, seriously, I'm tired of that too. Um, but anyway, so I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter. Titan's in this. Titan's in this. Titan's going to do something cool. He's going to be a badass villain. It's going to be awesome. Nope, he comes floating out of the sky like a hairy Jesus about to save everybody. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm done. And that's pretty much my feel on it. So it's a blast for me.
Yeah,
we know it's set up, but still, it's bad.
there was some stuff in here that it like, so Samson, Rick Jones, and the Harpy end up coming to try to help Hulk because he's kind of overpowered at this point, or they think he's dead maybe because he got swallowed by that one beast. I got a very Dr. Manhattan vibe from Rick Jones.
Right?
When he come to boosh, like blowing the head off of that one monster. And even his dialogue too, when the reporter says you're cracking jokes, and he says, "I guess so. I'm sorry, I put this act. I don't know always what's appropriate." That's kind of like very Dr. Manhattan. He doesn't know boundaries. He doesn't know what's appropriate or any of that. He
Like
just kind
dealing with what's that character from The Big Bang Theory?
I don't watch that Big Bang Theory. Oh,
What's his name? Sheldon.
yeah.
It's like a Sheldon. Like I don't understand personal feelings of people because I'm
Yeah.
a blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Oh, God.
So, yeah, I mean, this was okay, but I think what I don't understand, okay, if all of these creatures had these parasites in them, when the other ones died, how come the parasites didn't come out of those? So because Hulk ripped out of the stomach of the one, she released all the parasites. So now Roxxon and the Minotaur go perfect. He's fulfilling our plan perfectly. He essentially now news and media is blaming him, but the Hulk, for releasing the parasites.
Right.
So I think it's kind of playing into the Minotaur's overall game plan. I like this because there was a little more action in it. Now it does seem weird that there's a whole world essentially in the beast's stomach of these different parasites. That's kind of weird, but it is, I guess, what it is. I'm getting pretty close to actually dropping this title too, just because it's one more title I'd have to pick up. I've held on for 30 issues. I might pick up the next one just because I want to see how
Harry Jesus saves everybody.
Harry Jesus saves everybody. Yeah. I want to see how that ends. But I may end up dropping it after that. So Immortal Hulk, you're teetering on to be a blast. It's hanging on by a fingernail on the stash side. But other than that, so we are right now just about an hour. Do we want to talk about one more book, or do we want to cut it off and go lightning round?
You didn't read any other DC, and we've read a lot of Marvel. Let's just do a lightning round.
Okay.
All right, let's do lightning round.
Okay, let me just check that off my list. We did talk about Thor. Okay, I'll go lightning round.
Okay.
Let me talk about the books I read first here. Adventures of the Wasteland, Doctor Doom. This is out of the realm of Old Man Logan or Dead Man Logan.
Right.
Did you pick up this book?
I did not. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I already have her first appearance. What's the story going to be like? I'll wait.
So Doom's coming in, essentially just tearing up every part. He kills Ant-Man. He kills a form of Ultron, who's now a mechanic, I guess. And he's coming in and laying waste. And then the Avengers of the Wasteland need to step up and take out Doom. So that's what this whole book's about. So Doom plays a very big role in that. Protector, I'm trying to think what this was. If I got something to remember what it was about, it must not have been a good book. So it is a blast for me. The art in here, I can't stand the art. It's just like the art that's on this cover here. It's just hard for me to read. The whole story is set in the future, like in the 33rd century or something like that. It's all the cities are torn down, but yet there's some some like robots and stuff like that still in here. And one slave girl resurrects a robot by getting blood on it and is supposed to lay waste to everything. And there are prophets saying, hey, we're going to burn this robot regardless of where it is, and it's right in the middle of one of their big villages. So yeah, it's a blast. X-Force number 6. This is one of the other X-Men titles I'm reading. So Beast is in control of this team. And essentially, Beast has no problem going in there and erasing people's minds because we weren't there. They're the team that goes in and takes care of the stuff that nobody else wants to take care of. So Beast is the one that will kill fool. He'll wipe their memory. He'll do what it takes to get that information out of there. And so that's what this is about here. It's so good. I enjoy it. It's Percy. Percy was the one that wrote. I think it was Weapon Plus this week. Frankenstein Undone by Dark Horse Comics. This is written by Mike Mignola. So essentially, Frankenstein monster. Frankenstein dies. Frankenstein finds, okay, fine, I'm going to go out and live my life out in the North Pole or South Pole, wherever he's headed to. He befriends a polar bear, and they hang out together and their cub.
They made a cub? Ugh.
No, they didn't make a cub. That was a little too anatomically correct for Frankenstein to do that. Maybe just blood pumping in the wrong area, if you know what I'm talking about.
Get over here, you frozen bitch.
That's a bit raw. So one of the cubs, not necessarily the cub who's been hanging out, got killed by this other monster. Frankenstein and the monster fight. And then Frankenstein wakes up in this hut in the middle of nowhere. This old guy treating his wounds and everything else, and they're talking about humanity. Because Frankenstein says he can't be human because he had actually murdered quite a few people, and there's no way he can be accepted in society. And this old man sits there saying, humans are beasts, humans do bad things, it's all part of human nature, essentially. We find out this old man is actually the beast. He changed into the beast that attacked him earlier in the comic. And he opens a hut, and he goes outside, and there's a village full of people. And that's how the book ends. So Frankenstein's learning to be human and trying to live with humans, I guess. I don't know. Books that I did pick up that I did not read. I did Justice League Dark. God, I keep falling back on this, and I kick myself in the ass.
Good. I'm going to spoil that one for you, too.
Justice League 39.
I'm going to spoil that one for you, too.
Sirius, or whatever you want to call it. This was a one-shot. I read the first one. I don't know what the hell I got this one for if I didn't like the first one. What else did I got? The Avengers 30. Conan the Barbarian. I thought I had dropped it, but apparently it was still on my pull list, so I had to tell somebody else, yes, drop it. I don't want it. I'll buy it this time, but I don't want it.
Dude, you got to be on top of that pull list, man. Yeah. Every week.
Last God, number 4. I don't have 2 and 3, so I got to get 2 and 3.
Is that a DC imprint?
Yeah, Black Label.
Yeah, I didn't get those this week. Damn, I kind of like.
I did get the facsimile of Hulk 180, and then the Fantastic Four King Size Special number 6. And I picked up. This is not new this week. I went to another shop. I was on my way back from a training, stopped at another shop, and I picked up this book. I was trying to find it anywhere else. It's Walking Dead: The Alien. I don't know if you've heard about this. This came out, I don't know, a month or 2 ago.
Yeah,
find it for cover price, so I was pretty happy I picked that up. Got some few other books too, but what did you get for your?
Real quick before I jump into that, we're having some talks about Red Harpy, sorry. We're having some talks in here about possibly rebooting the theory or the entire series and see what we think about that. Double S, he's LOLing out loud at his house apparently. John's Comic says he loves Last God, great book. I know I had issue 1, and for some reason it just kind of fell off my list. I really wish I'd kept on track because I really liked issue 1, with everything being based off of the Noble Lie, and I remember it now, and now I feel like an idiot. So I got to go find that. So my flash round. Here we go. We'll start off with Marvel. I wanted to see where this go. Avengers Defenders. This issue where they kind of were doing the thing in 1940s where Captain America hulked out, everybody forgot. Toro's taking charge of everybody. How did it turn out? It's still confusing and makes no sense, but everybody remembers Captain America hulking out now. Why did that happen? Had something to do with Carrig. Yep, that's all we got. That's it. So, is there going to be an issue 3? I'm sure there is, but I'm not picking it up. Spider-Ham. Love me some Spider-Ham. We're dealing with multiverse stuff. Then, of course, we're going to make it complicated, but we're going to do it in a funny, kiddie way. This is still fun for me. I'm buying this strictly off of nostalgia. The entire Peter Porker and that whole thing was some of the first comic books I read. Buy them on spinner racks at Teeny Giants. All right, I didn't really buy them. I stole them. But that's what I did as a kid. I'm gangster. All right. I go Spider-Verse. I'm sorry?
You were a juvenile delinquent.
Yeah, I was not a good kid. Okay, so
I
picked up Spider-Verse. Now, last issue that came out, I told everybody, I'm dropping this book. This is garbage. It's just another BS. I can't come up with a solid storyline, so I'm just going to put a bunch of stories together with the thinnest web that I possibly can. But then I saw the Cowboy, and I really like Cowboy Spider-Man, so I was like, okay, I'm going to read this. This is fun. This is fun just off the dialect alone. Just the dialogue and the dialect that they're using in it is just fun. It's Western fun. We kind of get a version of a old world Scorpion in this that actually is in Mexico, and he throws his little chain around and it's got poison on it. It's a fun story. Only problem that I had with this is the only reason why Miles Morales is in this is to translate Spanish. But the problem is that the character speaks in Spanish. So if you know how to read Spanish, you're reading it in English, and then you get the response. You're legitimately, there was a couple of things that were slightly different, but other than that, I just found that to be annoying. It's more stuff I have to read that I already know. So that's fine, but the dialect alone and just having a good Western, solid in my book. Unfortunately, I have to buy the next one too because it has one of my favorite Spider-Man in it, Spider-Man Noir. So I'll be getting that as too. As long as they don't do what they did with him in the movie and just kind of made him some side piece, that would be fine. Doctor Strange. What happens when you want to gun run magic items to lowball criminals like the Wrecker and Thunderball and all those cats? You get this new Doctor Strange story. Dr. Druid is back. He's running the hospital now. If you don't know who Dr. Druid is, don't worry, you're not the only one. He was a vague Avenger back in the day that turned villain that nobody ever remembered. But, you know, you got to keep that IP property up to date. So you got to use them every now and then. IP property up to date. He'll die soon.
The Rector nearly killed her kind of thing?
Yeah, the Wrecker's kind of in there.
This is a Rector. Nearly killed her. Sorry, stupid joke.
It's good, man. All right, so the end. I'm really slowly hating these end storylines. This one's Deadpool. Look, if you're a college frat boy and you need some one-liners, all right, here you go. If you're a grown man that has a job and a family and everything else, avoid this book because all it is just one-liners, which is fine. Some of it's actually funny. The problem is there's 12 endings to this story. I'll say it again. There's 12 endings to this story.
Do you have to buy 12 different issues to get each ending, or what do you have to do?
They're all in here. Half this book.
Oh, they're all in there.
Yeah. It's like, and this is what it would like if it was dramatic movie ending, and this is what it's like if it was comic book traditional corny ending. And it's like, oh my God. But they made some great, as usual, they made some great stabs at Marvel's staff, writers, comic book artists. It seems like a lot of the jokes in here are very postmodernism, where it makes fun of itself. Let me take a quick look at the chat. What do we got going on? Okay, love go. All right, so we got, hey guys, did you say one-liners? Like you light it right away? Yeah, we lit it, all right. Let's see here. Action Comics. So this is a total blast for me. This is the whole reason why, what is it? The Red Cloud, Leviathan, and Lex Luthor are all working together. In the last issue, we found out they were all working together. This is why they're all working together. Guess what? Nobody cares, and you shouldn't, because it's the weakest story yet in this. Nobody cared. You did not need to make this. Let's see here. Justice League number 39. Hey, if you didn't know, humanity's horrible, and we all hate each other. And Perpetua already knew that, but needed to prove it to the heroes. So the heroes learned it now. The Quintessence, if you don't know who those are, omniscient beings in space. You'll see a couple of characters you recognize. The other ones are vague. Like you'll see what is it? A Phantom Stranger. You'll see Spectre. And then the rest of them you'll be like, who's that cat? I don't know. So you get a lot out of here. Come to find out, there's a point in time where all this stuff could have changed, and they happen to know. My question is if humanity sided with Doom, why are the superheroes trying to stop that and put their thumb on people? Who's the bad guy now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, humanity decide to follow Perpetua in this, and the superheroes are like, no, we're not cool with that. Yeah, really? That's where you were going to take this? Okay. Let's see here. Justice League Dark still proves to be good. Wonder Woman gets some really cool powers in this one. We kind of find out that she's so strong she can actually do blank. I don't want to spoil it for you because it's actually pretty good. If you haven't read this yet, definitely get on board with this. Still, my favorite character in here is Detective Bobo the Chim. I'm sorry, he's slightly an alcoholic. I don't know why I would like such things. But it's good. But ultimately, what you get in here, and try this test. If you pick this book up, go back and read just the interview section of Man-Bat, Kurt, talking to Wonder Woman. And every time they say the word magic, put the word humanity in its place. I promise you, it fits perfectly every time, and it's beautifully written that way. So good. For my independence, I buy a lot of comic books, so I'm rambling. All right, Something is Killing the Kids still proves to be that you don't have to have a whole lot of storyline and a whole lot of dialogue to make a good story. Meaning and purpose makes good story. We also find out that all the organization that she's a member of, apparently every person in the organization has this particular type of stuffed animal that embodies something else. I'm kind of interested in that. I know there's something in a lot of folklore about this type of concept, so I'm going to look that up. I'll have those answers to you. I know that plays a part in this, but we also find out that other people can hear this particular animal talk, even though you can't see all the monsters that attack. But we find out also in this, that's a little bit more complicated. Like, the life is hard. So we're definitely going to be taking a look at that. Last but not least, in my nope, that's not true either. Delta Dogs. Delta Dogs is a local comic book here in my area. I love these guys. They write a good book. In here, we find out how the villain actually has superpowers. We knew the cousins had superpowers. Now we find out how the villain in it. This is all locally based in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. And they actually use actual gangs that are, they're not real gangs in our area, but there are cliques of people that call themselves something. All right, so there's gangs in our area. But regardless, I really enjoy this. Every time I'm at a Comic-Con, these guys are at it. I always try to put them on my show. Not that it gives them some huge boost, but definitely these guys are writing a good comic book. If you want one of their comic books, you can go to Millennial Comics. Super cheap, good quality book. Good stuff. Huey's not. I'm from Virginia. I'm in Chesapeake. My last buys this week. Vampire State Building. I know that came out last week. I finally got it. Worst ending for a comic book series ever. That's a blast. Kids, I finally got. I actually.
Bush
Sorry.
at the end of the story, was it like a miniseries?
Yeah. Well, that's the end of that arc. I don't see how they can. They burned every vampire in the building, so it's done. Kids, I like the story. I'm kind of with you on the art on this one. The art was a little off, but I really enjoy the story. I'll be picking up more of that. That's a stash for me. And of course, I picked up Middle West. Interesting story. I don't want to get into a long overview on this one. Definitely check out my channel. I really do talk about group dynamics in this, and we kind of break it down. So before I jump off the air while I'm still rambling my mouth, let's run through the chat. Let's see here. Kind of like Wayne's World movie endings intent. Yes, they did. They did the thing. Yeah. Can you talk about music instead? No, we're a comic book channel. And by the way, does YouTube, hello, YouTube? I don't know what that means. My fingers move their own. Just kidding. Yeah. It's a 7-Eleven. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, do we get regular chat room after your thing? No, we pretty much sound it. After the show, the chat room's done, bub.
A couple of things I want to talk about. I tried to get out of Funko Pops. Mike's usually the Funko guy. He's like busy with his job. He can't do it. But I just run out of space for Funkos. I mean, I love the things. It gets spendy. You run out of room. I did post a picture on Instagram of some that I had to have in my collection. They're actually back behind me right here. And those were the Tombstone Funko Pops. Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday. I had to have those. That's like one of the best movies, at least in my opinion, of all time. So I had to pick up it was a big Funko Pop week for me because I picked up like 3 for my daughter. I picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for me. So I picked up quite a few damn Funko Pops. And then when I had to have, just because of what my profession is, although I don't work for the feds, I work for the state. I picked up Smokey Bear Funko Pop. I had to have that guy in my too. I did pick up a pretty cool, no one the Golden Age. It was in the 70s. It was Yarns of Yellowstone. Park ranger talking about different tales from Yellowstone National Park, which is kind of cool too. But moving on to closing the segment out, do you have anything you want to add? Do you have any auctions? Do you have any Drunk Ralphie videos coming out? What do you got going on your end, Joe?
So right now, me and Drunk Ralphie, we're working on another superhero, but we need your help. Should we do Superman or should we do the Green Arrow? We're kind of floating between those two. A lot of basket of crazy going on there as we do that. If you don't know me and Drunk Ralphie is just that. He's a drunk a peer counselor, and he does an overview of what's wrong with superheroes on my channel. As far as auctions go, we're putting one together right now. It's going to be a small one. We'll have that information to you. A couple of things on eBay if you're interested in. Drop the prices of a few things. Let's see here. I have GalaxyCon coming up in Richmond. That's in February. I'm going to be hitting that up to see our good friend Daniel Montoya there. He's the guy who does a lot of artwork for me. He came with us up to Baltimore. He's also the artist of my comic book that I'm writing. So we're going to be talking about that and kind of breaking that down a little bit. So we already got a vote for Green Arrow. We'll definitely keep a check for that. Of course, we got Emerald City Comic Con coming up. If you're going to Emerald City Comic Con, or if you're just in the Washington, Seattle area, let us know. We would definitely love meeting our fans. We definitely love supporting the people that support our show. Definitely want to buy you a beer. That's where all this auction money and all this other stuff goes to. So we can all meet up, have some drinks, and just have a good time. Because that's the point, right? What's the point of just shopping all day long? We should all be coming together and meet each other. So definitely want to meet you there. Let's see here. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I think Emerald City Comic Con is not going to be like a big buying a whole lot of books con for me. It's going to be mainly going there to meet people, get signatures and stuff like that. Maybe buy a few books here and there, but not really going to have like the big money I had like a C2E2 to be able to just go spend on stuff. But definitely looking forward to having a good time. We're planning on doing a con. We plan on going to the oh my god, I forgot M-Pop or whatever it was, that museum, the pop culture museum. We talked about doing an afternoon in there. So
we'll do a lot of live shows. So definitely hit that notification bell and subscribe if you haven't. We'll be going live or taping a lot of stuff throughout the day there.
Yeah, I'm hoping to.
You'll have a great time.
So, yeah, we're trying to finalize the plans on where we're going to be staying at and stuff like that. So, looking at doing all that fun stuff. We're going to finish that up tonight. As always, like Joe said, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell so you know we're going live. So you know maybe if we post a video from Emerald City Comic Con, you'll know about it. And make sure you go check us out on all the social medias. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram, Facebook. It's weird. You know, I kind of learned how each of them kind of work. Yeah, I post some of the same stuff on each of them, but I tend to post more pictures of stuff on Instagram, maybe some of my older books that I pick up and stuff like that, where Facebook's more of networking and talking to the people and that kind of stuff. So definitely check out Facebook. It's a great way to know, like, hey, I'm looking for this book. You know, somebody might be able to hit you up and say, hey, I got it for cheap, or hey, here's a A-OK. You never know what's going to happen on Facebook, and Twitter's just a great way to kind of get our name out there and network as well. So make sure you go check us out. It's all Blasted or Stash It, all the same as what we have here. So go check us out on all those social medias. Follow us there. And I think that is it. We're going to go ahead and bounce out of here. We're going to finalize up our plans, or try to. And whether you blast it, whether you stash it, happy reading, and catch me next Saturday as I go live looking at the books that are coming out the following week and what I want to put in my pull list. So check us out then. All right, later, guys.